Hey guys and gals, it's Mr. Gibbs. Welcome back. This video is on details and evidence. Now, this goes along with main idea, central idea, the video before. Now, some of you are getting in a very bad habit of doing the notes and not doing the exercises. So, if you want credit and you're going to do this right, you need to make sure main idea or central idea, remember it's the same thing, is completely done before you have moved on. And it goes without saying that all the other ones before that should be done too. But let's be in the world where we've done everything correctly and you are moving on to details and evidence. So go ahead on your first blank page on the left hand side, you need to put today's date and title it Details and Evidence. Details and Evidence. All right, go ahead and do that. So, what details support the main idea? That's what it's all about here. When we talk about details and evidence, they are the same thing. You're going to see evidence, the word evidence, used more on, say, an EOG passage or something like that. But when we say evidence, we're just looking for the details, right? We're looking for the little things that support that main idea. Now, let's go back and look at the video we looked at under main idea last time. What was the main idea or central idea of the video we watched? Okay, well, when picking a dog, it is important to consider factors like your activity level, size preference, and shedding preference. Remember, this is from our last video. So, this is our main idea statement, okay? How do we support this, okay? How do we support this with details, with evidence? How do you prove this is true? All right, well, we're going to go back and we're going to watch the video again, and you need to ask yourself, what details do we get about how to choose a dog? What evidence does the veterinarian woman give that shows us it's important to choose a dog carefully? All right, so we're going to watch the video again, and you need to be thinking about this. What are the details? What are the evidence that supports this main idea?
Hi, my name is Pam Nichols. I'm with the Animal Care Center in Bountiful, Utah. I'd like to talk to you today about picking the right breed of dog for your family and for your lifestyle. This is a really important question to answer because so many dogs are left in shelters because of temperament and behavior problems. So one of the first things you can do to ensure that your dog is going to be with you for a good long time is pick a dog that suits your lifestyle. So for example, I'd like you to ask yourself the questions, am I active or am I sedentary? Do I need a dog that is a lap dog, or do I need one that will go out and run a marathon with me every weekend? That's the first question, because there are dogs that are super active little dogs and super mellow little dogs, and there are very active large dogs and there are super mellow large dogs. So, and those are also questions that your veterinarian can help you narrow down the field. The other question I'd like you to ask yourself is your lifestyle more conducive to having a large dog or a small dog? Because that narrows things down very, very rapidly. And also keeping in mind that small dogs tend to live longer than large dogs. So an average 80 to 120 pound dog might only live 7 years, where a 5 to 10 pound dog might live 15 to 17 years. And then the last question I want you to ask yourself, besides temperament and size, is do you prefer dogs that shed or dogs that don't shed? Because there's no such thing as a low shedding dog. And all the designer dogs in the world, they'll say they're low shedding dogs. They truly are not. They either shed or they don't shed. And you can pick a breed of dog that fits not only your lifestyle, but the size of dog that you prefer and the coat type that you prefer.
So, how did we support our main idea with evidence? Well, if we look at the top here, again, here is our main idea. When picking a dog, it is important to consider factors like your activity levels, size preference, and shedding preference. Okay, so that is our main idea. That is our central idea of this video, right? That's what it's all about. how do we support this? How do we figure out that this is a good main idea or central idea statement? Well, let's look. So you have to support what you're saying with details, with evidence. All right? Well, the veterinarian said it is important because so many dogs are left in shelters because of behavior and temperament. So, what she's saying there supports that main idea on why it's important, because dogs end up at shelters because people chose the wrong kind of dog and they can't handle it or they don't want it. So she's supporting that main idea by saying that. What's something else she said? For example, am I active or sedentary? Do I need a lap dog or one who will run a marathon? So again, she's supporting this main idea, this central idea statement she made about, do you need a lap dog, a little dog that's just going to kind of sit around with you? Or if you're an active lifestyle type of person, you're out there running a marathon or hiking or something like that, do you want a dog that's going to do that with you? So this, again, these are details, evidence supporting your main idea. What else did she talk about? You're asking yourself the question, is it my lifestyle more conducive to having a large dog or a small dog? So again, you think about it. You live in a little apartment. You don't go out a lot because you're sitting there playing PlayStation or socializing on uh, Snapchat or watching Netflix. Then you're going to want a smaller dog. But you have a bigger house. You go out a lot. You go out walking and hiking and doing stuff like that. You may want a larger dog. Also, larger dogs tend to not live as long as small dogs, and small dogs tend to live a lot longer than large dogs. So, are you wanting a dog for the long term? So this is all evidence, all details that support that. Okay? Do you prefer dogs that shed or don't shed? And what that's asking basically is, do you like more of a long-haired dog or a short-haired dog? Okay, so all of these things, all of these things support your main idea. Okay, so let's go back to the left-hand side of our paper now. And under details and evidence, you're going to write the following statement. Every time an author expresses an idea, they must support it with details and evidence. And again, these are basically the same, they mean the same thing. Evidence you may see a little more on like an EOG passage, or maybe in your science class or something, because instead of saying, well, give me a detail on why that's true, they may say, give me evidence. Okay, so go ahead and make sure you write this down. But just remember, details and evidence, they mean the same thing. So you should know what both mean, especially as it relates to main idea, to central idea of a text. All right, next part, the details, evidence, they include must clearly prove the point they're trying to make, be specific and direct, and be directly related to the topic. Okay, details and evidence really aren't emotional things. These are facts and figures, right? Math, charts, graphs. This is what evidence is. So go ahead and make sure you write down, clearly prove the point you're trying to make, be specific and direct, and be directly related to the topic. Now, good authors choose not to include details that are unnecessary or don't support their idea. So again, we're looking at this from the perspective of how you're going to see it on the EOG or some standardized test, but also as a writer, you need to be able to make this clear. So good authors choose not to include details that are unnecessary, don't support their idea. So you need to make sure anytime you're writing something that it goes back and directly supports it. Okay, say if you're writing a stance on whether there should be dress code at school, or whether girls and boys are raised the same way and you're taking a stance, you need to make sure everything is your details, your evidence supports it and is not unnecessary or goes off on a tangent about something that doesn't really necessarily pertain to what your main idea was in the first place. Okay? So, pause right here and go ahead and get this part. If you have not, don't worry, I'll wait. No, really, pause. Okay, so let's practice. We're going to go back to that same article when we talked about the explorers. So I'm going to read it aloud with you, and then we're going to go over what details and evidence we find. Okay? And remember, like I told you last time, your main idea is not about Christopher Columbus. That kind of throws you off. Okay? Christopher Columbus was a great explorer. Many believe that he discovered the New World. What led him to sail across an unknown sea? People like Columbus had many reasons for exploring the unknown. They tried to sail west to get to the east. They tried to find shortcuts. Some trips were made to find places for new colonies. Some explorers were soldiers. They conquered and claimed distant lands. Others searched for gold. Some were missionaries who wanted to spread their religious beliefs. Many were only filled with curiosity. They set out to increase their knowledge of the world. Okay, so what we're doing is we are looking for details, for evidence to support our main idea about explorers. All right, remember, our main idea here is explorers traveled the globe for many different reasons, right? People like Columbus had many reasons for exploring the unknown. There it is in itself. You're not just saying Columbus, you say explorers, but you're getting evidence right there. You're getting details that this is your main idea. What else do we have? Well, they tried to find shortcuts. Some explorers were soldiers. They conquered and claimed distant lands. Some were missionaries who wanted to spread their religious beliefs. Many were only filled with curiosity. So again, you've got details to support this. Now, if we put this in a graphic organizer, what would it look like? It would look like this. So, in the middle here, you have the main idea, right? Your central idea. Explorers traveled the globe for many different reasons. And then on the 4 boxes in each corner, you have details that support this. Some were soldiers who wanted to conquer new lands. Some explorers wanted to spread their religious beliefs. Some explorers traveled to find new lands, routes, and shortcuts for trade. Some explorers were simply curious and wanted to learn more about the world. So you can see how you've supported your main idea with evidence, with details, right? So I want you to do this on your own with one of your articles you used in the last video on main idea. So you're still on the left-hand side of your page. Go ahead and draw a line after the notes I gave you. And I want you to draw these 5 boxes. It should look very similar to what I have here. So you have details and your main idea. So you're going to have to go back and look at one of the articles that you got the main idea for, write it beside your section, and then write the main idea. And then you're going to support that main idea by using details and evidence. Okay, so under title there, up top, you would put whatever the name of your article is whatever it may be. It may be about sharks or dogs or Malala, whatever it is. Okay, so you put the title of that article. Then you're going to put your main idea and support it with details. Now, make sure you make these boxes big enough to write in. Okay, it should take up the rest of your page on the left-hand side. So, go ahead and pause it here. Go back into your article. Find out what you already found the main idea for one, and then you're going to go to that article and you're going to find details to support that main idea. All right? Okay, so if you're hearing me, it is time to move on. You have done this on the left-hand side of your paper at the bottom, and we are going to move on. Now, you will need this sheet, okay? This handout is in the back of the room on the table where they're always at. You should be able to just get up and get it. You don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to ask me to go get it. You can just get it yourself, okay? It's back on the table as always. So, what are we going to do with this? Types of details and evidence. All right, well, the author uses different kinds of details to develop their central ideas. So main idea, central idea. Remember, this is exactly the same thing. You're going to hear it both ways when you see it on standardized tests and in sometimes your little mini assessments or benchmarks. So, what do we have here? You're going to finish the definition, okay? So first and foremost, you're going to have to go through and finish the definition part, okay? So what are facts? Statements that can be proven. Okay, what are statistics? Facts in the forms of numbers. Okay, this is like 85% of NAM's 7th graders enjoy Takis. That is a statistical number. Think math here, okay? All right, so you should be filling in these definitions as we go along. If you need to pause and fill them out, feel free to. So these are the types of evidence, types of details we are looking for main and central idea. Facts, statistics. An expert statement, information from a knowledgeable sources. Okay, so this is someone like a professor or a police officer or someone that has knowledge of a situation that you're reading about. Okay, so if you want to know something about break-ins or how to keep your house safe, then you would probably ask a police officer. If you wanted to know about how to properly use a diet to make yourself not have too many intakes of calories, you would ask a doctor or dietitian. You wouldn't ask Mr. Gibbs. He is not an expert on diet, as you can plainly see. So, an expert statement, information from knowledgeable sources. What are examples? All right, these are specific, concrete people, events, or things that illustrate the idea. Okay? Think about a concrete means it's hard, it's there, it's specific, something you can see, okay? Or, well, in this point, read about, okay? Look at the example here. Many flowers grow better in the shade, such as hostas and roses. So that's a specific. You were saying, well, what kind of plants don't need a lot of light or need shade, a lower form of light? These would be examples, okay? So, again, you should be filling out these as we go. What is a quote? A direct statement from someone related to the idea. Now, again, this is in quotation marks. 9 times out of 10, almost 10 times out of 10. A quote is a direct statement. Okay, so this might be where you're getting your examples from. And then you have a graphic, is a visual, such as a graph, chart, or diagram. And again, this should sound pretty familiar when you did text features. Okay, so again, make sure you have that one. And make sure you have this one. Okay. An anecdote is a story related to the topic. Okay. We use these a lot when we're trying to maybe explain something, like I was talking to you about corporal punishment in schools. In other words, can you be spanked or something like that? And I gave you an anecdote. I told you that when I was in 7th grade, that Coach Murphy, my math teacher, had a paddle and he could use it. So I was giving you an anecdote to illustrate as an example of this main idea. Okay? So you should have all of these. If you don't, pause, make sure, or go back if you need to, and fill in the blank. Okay? So, I'm showing you this through the Hot Wheels story, right? We've talked about this one throughout the videos, and I'm going to use this as an example again. And what you're going to do is on your right hand, the far right hand side that I'm getting ready to show you, you will be doing this with your main story, okay? But again, I'm just using the Hot Wheels one as an example, okay? So yours will look something like this, okay? So I was looking for facts, right? So I'm looking for facts here in mine. And what do? Solar cars are made of lightweight but tough materials such as Kevlar. That's my example, okay? I gave you an example right here, okay? But that isn't related to this, okay? You're looking at, okay, types of evidence, definition that I gave you, and then you're going to be going over here to my example based on your main article in your Scholastic magazine, okay? Statistics. Okay, when I was looking there in 2005, the winner clocked in at 29 hours and 11 minutes. This, you're getting what? Specific time here, right? There's also examples here. I was talking about examples. Also, every part of the car must have an essential purpose. That means there are no hood ornaments or bulky stereo speakers. Okay, my statement, our solar car battery pack has 640 of them. Okay, this is a direct quote, and you can see quotation marks, right? And then diagram. And then on there, it shows you a diagram, right? And you can use that visual, that graphic, okay? So, what I am asking you to do is to do this yourself, okay? So, at the right-hand side of your reader's notebook, I want you to label it details, evidence, practice, okay? And make sure that you're gluing it down, but you may want to wait until you're done. It's sometimes easier for people to not glue it or tape it down until they're done, which is great. Okay, but make sure you're gluing it down. In the end, I don't need to find these things on the floor, especially when I find them and they're done, but they're not in your notebook. Then I have no clue who they are, and a lot of times they end up being thrown away and you have to do it again. So this is what you're going to do. All right, make sure your main idea detail organizer is done. That's your left-hand side. Then go into your magazine and find one example of each type of detail and evidence. You'll most likely need to use more than one article to find all the examples you need. Now, in your main article, you may find 2/3 or even all of it of what you need. But more than likely, you're going to have to go into more than one nonfiction. Remember, we're only dealing with nonfiction here. Nonfiction article within your magazine. All right? Good luck.